Alrighty, we're going to call the meeting back to order. We're going to do a little hopscotch because the delegations are set up to come at 5 o'clock. So we're going to jump ahead into, what is 7.2? Reports?
It's under consideration of reports with the...
Okay. The consideration of reports, 2023 CW Neighborhood Grant with Kendra Martin. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Through you, Deputy Mayor. I'm here to answer any questions about the options provided here for the 2023 Neighborhood Grant Program.
What? So questions from council? Councillor Addams.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, just a question on the two options. So the one option looks like we're recommending to maintain it based on the resources required from staff. Could you just like speak to that a little bit more? I was kind of hopeful that we could look at expanding it, but I understand if there was a great impact that may not be the recommendation coming out. So I'm just wondering if you could expand on that a little bit more.
Absolutely. Through you, Deputy Mayor. Last year, when the program was set up, it was designed to bring neighborhoods together, especially coming out of COVID. So we had originally gone and put $3,000 to it and thought we would pick 3. Instead, we had 17 submissions, which was fantastic. But through the process, we approved 13 of them, 13. So all of them were fantastic. We had great feedback from residents. They were all very excited about it. Some were events that the neighborhoods had already done in the past, and they just, applied for this and were eligible for it. Other ones were new neighborhoods that were brought together. So it was a successful program, but it was very time consuming. I would say we spent quite a few hours just guiding neighborhoods through because they had never done it before. So a lot of them had wanted street closures. So you have to contact OPP, get the proper, dates, make sure everyone's available, staff to bring out barricades on weekends. They also needed insurance to make sure that the events were held properly. So we wanted to make sure that there was no, like bouncy castles, and we just wanted to make sure that we guided them properly. So there was quite a bit of time spent with them. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We loved every moment of it, but what we just decided is that to keep it at the 5 to make sure that we can devote our time to that. If council decides otherwise, we'll find resources for it, hopefully. But again, that's the recommended based on time allocation of this at this time anyways.
Councillor McDonald.
Through you, Deputy Mayor Jefferson. So the 5 is adding on to the 20,490 that we already have? No.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So right now we have the 20,000, I think 490 remaining. So once you take the 5,000 off,
gotcha.
there'd be the 15. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. In full disclosure, I took my e-bike and visited 3 of them one day, and they were great, and they were super well ran, and you're right, like it was a nice opportunity coming out of COVID, and we're still kind of soft landing COVID, so I definitely want to see some of the funds used. Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Councillor Wilton.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor Jefferson. Thanks, Kendra. And I'm just curious if there's any opportunity to streamline things like creating a neighborhood party kit almost or something to kind of streamline the insurance and like a checklist almost to make it a little easier on everybody.
Yeah, through you, Deputy Mayor. Actually, I've been talking with Paula Seeley, who is currently working on a lot of the community impact grants with Kristen and her department. And that's something we talked about last year, was just putting together more of like an event in a box. So now that she's on board and able to assist with that, that's something that we're compiling. So I'm sure through this process, we can do something like that just to also streamline our time as well. So it just makes everything a little easier for everyone.
Any other questions? I have a question. With option number 2, did you find that there was community groups that were looking for larger funding events?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, it's not something that someone has come forward and asked for, but through my research on neighborhood grants, it came forward as something that other municipalities do. So I know I mentioned that there's just one option of $5,000 here, but we could look at something like breaking it up into two $2,500. Let's say two community groups came forward and we found that those were eligible requests. They both wanted to do something. One wanted to do more of like a bigger event that for their neighborhood, and another wanted to do a community garden or something along those lines, and we found that both came in at around $2,500 and wanted to split it. Maybe that's something that we could look at as well. But I know that neighborhood grants are nice because it forces the neighborhoods to look at what's lacking in their area. It also is great for neighborhoods that may not necessarily want to have a party, but still want to bring the neighborhood together and do something as a neighborhood, and maybe there's something in their community that's lacking. And this is a way to have them fundraise for part of it, and then we would match that and make sure that it happened in their neighborhood.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Adams?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So I guess just a comment. I think it was great that you did see such an uptake in applications in 2023. And I think the intent of this was really neighbor getting to know neighbor. So in my mind, I'm definitely leaning towards option one as like a preference, because not limiting that to the number of applications that could be received, and, you know, having neighborhoods become creative in using the resources around them in order to, the whole point is really that gathering, not so much the dollar figure there. So yeah, I think I'd like to see option one, and potentially next year with what Toolbox or, you know, the staff are able to resource, kind of hear back next year on what we can maybe do in terms of expansion or something at that point.
Other comments from council? Councillor Craddock?
Just a quick question. If we limit it to 5 or even 1 or 2 with option 2, what's the selection process like if you had 14 applicants for the last? How are you gonna, that's gonna be tough.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, it was. And so we had enlisted the Community Services Advisory Committee. It was hard because usually with community impact grants, you can bring forward like a scoring system to kind of show the different events that are happening. With this, it's very difficult because a lot of them came in very similar. So they're just, you know, street closures, planning to bring neighborhoods together, you know, barbecues and things of that nature. So that made it difficult to say, well, which barbecue is potentially more exciting or anything like that. So that's why what we did, and to streamline it, is we chose one event per area. So when we came back to council, we picked one in Bellwood, one in Inverhaw, one in Elora, one in Fergus. And then there was one that was presented that was taking place at Bissell Park. So we chose those 5 as our recommendations to council, and then they had told us to just go with all of them. So that's kind of how it came down to. So for this one, we'll do something similar. We would bring it back to CSAC and ask them their opinions based on how many bring forward their applications and go from there.
Dan has some comments.
Thank you, and through you, Deputy Mayor. This in effect would be year 2 of the pilot program for this, 2022 being the first year. So we hope through the 2024 budget process that we would try to incorporate this program into the community impact grant program that was approved by council last month. I guess keep in mind we're trying to continue this program under a pilot until we see what direction council wants to go in, and then we'll formalize it as part of the community impact grant as part of next year's budget.
Other comments? Mayor Waters? Councillor McDonald? Okay, so I'm feeling that option 1, continuing on with what was last year, is maybe what? Yep. Okay, so then we'll have a recommendation that the Council of the Township of Center Wellington direct staff to proceed with the Neighborhood Grant Option 1 for 2023 as outlined in Report CA 02023-02 dated February 13th, 2023. And that council directs staff to investigate the future of this program in the 2024 budget. Can I have somebody motion? Councillor Wilton and a seconder? Councillor Addams? And then we can put that to a vote. All in favor? And that's everybody. So that carries. Alrighty. Moving on to 7.3, Water, Wastewater, and Source Protection Annual Reports from Dino. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. Through you, Deputy Mayor. I'm here today to present the annual water, wastewater, and source water protection reports. They're lengthy documents. They're all required through law, and the contents of which are very defined. I know a lot of you haven't had the standard of care. Actually, I don't believe any of you have had the standard of care yet. It is coming March 1st, but I thought beforehand I would kind of go over a quick highlight, a really brief introduction and summary of the standard of care, which will go into much more detail March 1st. It's a 3-hour session being delivered through the Walkerton Clean Water Center. But to provide you with some context for the reports you have before you today. So thank you, Mayor Waters and Deputy Mayor and members of council. I'm pleased to be here with you today to share information on the standard of care that is delegated to Municipal Council regarding the provision of safe and reliable drinking water. Environmental Services staff are here to support you, and I would encourage you to contact me with any questions or concerns you may have or that you may receive from residents regarding your water or your wastewater. Am I doing this? Boom. There we go. All right. Standard of care was developed through a recommendation of the Walkerton Inquiry, which reads as follows. Given that the safety of drinking water is essential for public health, those who discharge the oversight responsibilities of the municipality should be held to a statutory standard of care. The Safe Drinking Water Act assigns council as the owners of the drinking water system, and as the owner, that standard of care requirement is applied. So what does standard of care mean to council? It means that municipal officials must practice due diligence to protect human health when making decisions that could affect your drinking water. The township drinking water system includes the wells that provide the source water, the treatment systems in place to disinfect and enhance water quality, the storage facilities required for peak flow demand and for fire flow circumstances, as well as the water mains and distribution pipes up to the customer's property line. The purpose of the Act is to recognize that the people of Ontario are entitled to safe drinking water, and that safe drinking water is vital to public health. As a member of Municipal Council, you have a direct responsibility and an important role to play ensuring that your community has access to high-quality, safe, and reliable drinking water. The Safe Drinking Water Act states that you are legally obliged to do so. There are 3 main messages that the Walkerton Inquiry recommends to councillors. First, it's your duty. The Safe Drinking Water Act prescribes a standard of care to those with oversight responsibilities, and this includes municipal councillors. There are legal responsibilities related to the provision of safe and reliable drinking water. Second is to be informed. The Act recognizes that technical knowledge and experience in the field of drinking water is not a requirement of your role, and that there is no expectation as the role of the owner and the expectation is that the role of the owner is at a strategic level. Environmental Services is your approved operating authority and has the expertise and knowledge of your drinking water system and its operations. Beyond our internal expertise, we also consult with industry professionals, area operating authorities, the MECP, our local health unit, all on a regular basis to ensure regulatory compliance and industry standard best practices are met. You will find Environmental Services staff take great pride in their work, possess expertise, and are passionate to discuss their profession in detail. Should you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me. And the third message is to stay vigilant. Complacency can pose one of the greatest risks to a drinking water system. The fact that something has not happened does not mean it will not happen or possess a future risk. It's critical that drinking water safety is never taken for granted, and it is important not to make assumptions about the drinking water system under your direction. With the health of the public and your community at stake, your continued vigilance is paramount through your role as an owner. So Justice O'Connor recommends that those with oversight responsibilities of the system act honestly and in good faith with a view to the protection of the safety of the consumer and exercise the care, diligence, and skill that a reasonably prudent person would exercise in comparable circumstances. Again, further training will be provided March 1st, and for those that cannot make it, I do have a presentation that I've presented to previous councils. I'm happy to share it. Beyond that March 1st date, staff will bring additional information regarding our quality management system, or QMS, to council in March. Information will be provided to council on the drinking water operational plan and QMS. Our operational plan and QMS provide for sound operational procedures and controls and are part of the drinking water safety net. Our QMS contains a water quality policy statement with the following commitments. First is to comply with all applicable legislation and regulations. Second is to maintain and continuously improve the quality management system and drinking water system. And thirdly is to provide safe drinking water to all consumers. Subsequent to the March presentation, you'll be asked to endorse our policy and our commitments. So on to the reports. Today before you are the Environmental Services Annual Drinking Water, Wastewater, and Source Protection Reports. As required under the Safe Drinking Water Act and our EPA, Environmental Services prepares the water and wastewater reports, and under the Clean Drinking Water Act, a Source Protection Annual Report is completed by Kyle Davies, our risk management official. He's unable to make it today, so I'm standing in on his place. To comply with the timeframes specified in regulations, these reports must come to council in February and be accepted as information reports. The information contained within these reports include key performance indicators, details of adverse conditions, and any corrective actions taken, as well as major maintenance completed in our systems. A quick overview of them. Attachment B is our Drinking Water System Annual Report. In general, this report provides information on our water quality. At a very high level, if you look, there's all sorts of data in there. Again, any of which you need interpretation, please don't hesitate to reach out. Some of the highlights include information on our annual MECP drinking water inspection report this year, which resulted in an inspection risk rating of 100%. That's our second year in a row. It's a great accomplishment. It indicates that the system was determined to have no risk of non-compliance and that all sampling, reporting, and regulatory submissions have been completed. The report also provides information on maintenance expenses, including 2 new wells, Fergus Well number 2 and Fergus Well number 5, a new monitoring well at Fergus Well number 1, the installation of a filtration system at well number 7, and repairs to a high lift pump at well number 6. As you can see, Water Services likes to keep busy. Attachment C is the Drinking Water System Summary Report. In general, this report provides information on quantity and includes a summary of the quantities and flow rates of pumped water, including the rated capacity and approved flow rates for each well. This report demonstrates that all well pumping rates and volumes complied with our township's permit to take water. And in 2022, the township pumped approximately 39% of its approved total capacity and experienced a maximum daily taking of 53%. That was in June. Attachments D and E are the Fergus and Elora Wastewater Treatment Plant annual performance reports, respectively. These reports provide key performance indicators used to demonstrate wastewater plant operational effectiveness. Both plants achieved good reductions of key wastewater parameters, with Fergus plant achieving 97% and Elora plant achieving 98.9%. These reports also provide information on overflow and non-compliance events. Overflows occur when the plant is overwhelmed with volume and bypass a treatment process. They also contain reporting, sampling, and corrective actions that have been completed for these occurrences. They also contain information on major maintenance expenses, as well as biosolid production, storage, and utilization. And finally, attachments F and G are the Clean Water Act Risk Management Official and Municipal Annual Reports. Again, these are prepared by Kyle Davies. Highlights of his report includes new wellhead protection areas for quantity effective February 2022, source water protection reviews on 143 development applications with a 5-year average being in the 70s, I think it was 73. Source water 23 risk management plans completed in the township, as well as educational outreach and training activities, including the Children's Groundwater Festival. And I welcome any questions council may have regarding these reports.
Questions from council? Councillor Welton.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. Thanks, Dina, that was great information, so thank you for all the reports. I understand on page 7 of 7 in the water quantity report, you show tables 11 and 12 where it shows the percentage of the approved capacity. So I understand that there's 2 different other measurements, or operational capacity and firm capacity. I see Colin smiling. So, I'm just curious if it would be easy enough to add 2 more columns so we'd understand the percentage of the approved capacity and the firm capacity as well, or if not, why not? Thank you.
Yeah, through you. For the reporting purposes of the regulation, they're very defined. However, we'd be happy to provide that information to council. So it would be different than what we submit to the ministry, but that information is available.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to see some kind of like a little report card almost that shows a dashboard with those different columns. Would be really interesting to have report included in the report as part of the slide deck or something like that. Thank you.
Sorry, excuse me, did you want that for 2022? Like we can go back? Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Okay. Question, Councillor McDonald?
Through you, Deputy Mayor Jefferson. So my understanding is well number 5 wasn't going to be online till 2027. So you're talking about well number 5 in Fergus?
Yes.
Today. Okay. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Welton?
Thank you. Just a question about the wastewater. I think there were 3 occasions when wastewater was diverted, and all the corrective action has been taken to prevent that. Is there anything else we need to be doing to make sure those occasions don't happen again? Or
Great question. Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor. We are currently, Engineering Services is reviewing an infiltration and inflow. So that is a study that determines the amount of water infiltrating our system that is not sewage. So roof leaders that are connected, sump pumps that are connected, rainwater infiltration, groundwater pipes that are allowing water in through groundwater. That study and work alone will be of a great improvement. And that is also kind of being done in association with our CLI ECA, the Consolidated Linear Infrastructure Environmental Compliance Approval. So they're kind of coming at it from those 2 sides.
Yep, and just to add to what Dino said through the Deputy Mayor, just there's a capital item as well for 2023 that will allow us to reline some of our sanitary sewer systems. So we've been proactively replacing some of the sanitary sewer through our road reconstruction projects, but we also have a new capital project and a new program starting that will actually line the pipe in place. And so that will also reduce those sources of inflow and infiltration that Dino was referring to, and hopefully ultimately eliminate the bypasses that we see at the Fergus plant.
Any further questions? No? Seeing none? Alrighty. So we have a recommendation then. That's good. Okay. That the Council of the Township of Center Wellington, excuse me, receive as information the following 2022 water and wastewater reports. Township of Center Wellington Drinking Water System Annual Report, Township of Center Wellington Drinking Water System Summary Report, Elora Wastewater Treatment Plant Annual Performance Report, Fergus Wastewater Treatment Plant Annual Performance Report, and the Township of Center Wellington Risk Management Official and Municipal Annual Report. Can I have a mover for that? Councillor Addams. And a seconder, Councillor Craddock. And then all in favor. And that's everybody, so that carries. Okay. So for council on our agenda, we're going to hop back to 5.2 for delegations. So then if I can call up John and Dianne and regarding the cannabis delegation. Okay. Just for clarification for the delegations, we are doing a 10 minutes for your delegation and then questions for clarification from the council after. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Just use this thing right here. Awesome. Hi, everyone. We're super thrilled to be here today talking to you today about private retail cannabis legislation. My name is John Mifsud. I'm a local resident of Fergus. I'm also a cannabis advocate, and I'm a digital marketer. I work for an Acton-based PPE company called Superior Gloveworks.
I'm Dianne Ballantyne. I'm Ward 6 Wellington County Councillor, as well as spending 28 years as a secondary school teacher at Center Wellington District High School, and I'm also the parent of 3 20-somethings.
Yeah, so let's hop right into it. So let's talk about the retail landscape of cannabis right now. I'm sure as you know, in 2018, October 2018, the Trudeau government legalized recreational cannabis. And so the federal government gave the province the jurisdiction on licensing, taxation, tax revenues, and compliance. And so at the time, the province gave townships 2 options. The first option was to opt in and to allow private retail cannabis, or B, continue to opt out and prohibit the private retail cannabis. I should note that once opting in, it is permanent, irreversible. But municipalities gain tax revenue through the Ontario Excise Tax Transfer Framework, and that helps offset the cost of implementation, law, and bylaws. And Ontarians gain access to safe, regulated, quality control cannabis.
And so our ask here this evening is that council direct staff to commission a report regarding the opting in process, and then bring that to council to have a vote regarding whether we will opt in for retail cannabis legislation or not.
So let's talk about the role of municipalities. Municipalities play a vital role in ensuring safe, deliverable access to legal cannabis. Municipalities can decide whether or not they want to allow private retail cannabis to open up in our town. And they can also pass additional bylaws in respect to smoking and vaping in public outdoor spaces. They can also submit suggestions to the AGCO regarding sensitive areas where they don't wish to have cannabis stores. They cannot, however, create an additional licensing system in respect to cannabis, nor can they distinguish land use or building use for cannabis or against cannabis. And the Association of Municipalities of Ontario has supported private cannabis retail approach to create jobs and income locally within our communities.
And so, as your slide shows, there are currently 414 Ontario municipalities that have opted in to retail cannabis. The survey that was done by the Ontario Cannabis Store, which is the online government-controlled store, has determined that most customers prefer to have an in-person shopping experience. And there have been 2 municipalities that have opted in since they originally opted out, and linked into that slideshow is the staff report from Wasaga Beach.
I should mention as well, over the weekend, the City of Mississauga came out with a an announcement that they are going to start pursuing the opt-in process. They are currently the largest holdout in Ontario for retail cannabis, and as of this weekend, they've announced that they're going to look at that and potentially opt into the system. So after 4 or 5 years of the way it is, they've kind of done their due diligence and decided to move forward with another option, in this case, opting in. And so let's talk about who uses cannabis. You know, traditionally cannabis has been seen as kind of a fun party kind of drug, but you know, over the years, we've shown that it actually has some real tangible benefits to people. Because of the legislation, you know, there's been more comprehensive studies on cannabis and who uses cannabis. 29% of Ontarians have used cannabis in the past 12 months, and that's coming from Canada's cannabis survey. And another point to mention is the average age of initiation. So the average age of the person who tries it for the first time has gone up. In 2018, that age was 18 years old. And in 2022, since they've done the survey, the average age of initiation is 20 years old. So I think that speaks to the process of legalization, regulation, and education, and how important and vital it's been to keeping cannabis out of the hands of youth. And as well, 65% of cannabis users are over the age of 25. So it has been changing, the attitudes have been changing for a while, and this is just a continuation of it.
So one of the important values is to have the access to safe, regulated, quality-controlled items. And a study that was co-produced by the Ontario Provincial Police and the Ontario Cannabis Store showed that 19 of the 22 illegal products that they tested contained unauthorized pesticides. So we feel that it's in the best interests of our residents to be able to have safe, equitable, and easy access to this controlled substance.
And as well, we believe that opting into private retail cannabis will provide a boost to the local economy. It'll create entrepreneurship and employment opportunities. And the Ontario government has put aside $40 million of the cannabis excise tax, and it's allocated to participating municipal governments. And if you see there, that chart, it shows that Ontario has the largest national sales by province. And actually, fun tidbit, Ontario is now the second largest legal cannabis market in the world, just slightly behind California. But I suspect as we go through this process, it might change.
And as you might be aware, even though it was a previous council back in December 2018, the former Wellington OBP Detachment Commander Scott Lawson presented to CW Council, and his report is connected there and also on the township's website. And one of the quotes from his report is that he acknowledged that regulated cannabis discouraged use by minors and disrupted the country's massive illegal cannabis market. And the Ottawa Police Service, as well as the Criminal Intelligence Service of Ontario, recommended legalizing cannabis stores legal cannabis stores as a tool to reduce organized crime, as well as the associated street crimes.
Yeah, so another big reason why we're here today is we want to talk about the equity of access. Currently, our residents have to travel to purchase cannabis in stores up to 17 kilometers away, whether they're driving to Arthur or whether they're driving to Guelph to purchase it. That creates a physical barrier to access because not everybody drives or has the ability to drive. And there's financial inequity with it too. For residents that don't drive, they're kind of reliant on limited, expensive delivery services to get same-day service. And those services can range between $15 to $20 per delivery. As well, they have limited delivery windows, so it's not necessarily the most feasible option for many people. And residents can also purchase directly from the Ontario Cannabis Store's website. They're the only authorized online retailer, and they can have it delivered to their homes. However, this process takes nearly a full business week, and the customer must be home to provide ID and to sign for the product, which is a great way to keep it out of the hands of youth. But if you're not home and able to make that, then it creates another physical barrier to access because then you have to go pick it up from the post office. And if it's not retrieved in a timely manner, post office will ship it back to the Ontario Cannabis Store and no refunds given. So that creates another financial inequity as well. And, with having local retail cannabis stores, it creates a smaller carbon footprint. There's less driving by our residents to other towns to purchase, and there's less deliveries being made from outside of town into our town.
So as you may also be aware, back in 2019, the township surveyed the population of Center Wellington with a 64% polling supporting retail cannabis stores. We did an informal poll back in January with over 500 respondents that had more than 82% in support of retail cannabis stores. So we would ask that it is time to revisit this particular decision that was made by a former council, and would ask council to direct staff to compile a report on this topic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Questions from council? Councillor McDonald?
Through you, Deputy Mayor Jefferson, I have a couple of questions, if I could ask for a little leeway. So you mentioned about, so if we opt in, do you know what municipalities that have opted in after 2018, what the revenue stream is back to the municipality? Do you have examples of
I don't have
that?
examples of that. There was just a general baseline that the province gave out when this kind of came out. And so they, based on various factors such as population and things, that they were able to give a number to. I don't have the number here, and it might have changed since then. So that would be more for kind of something for council to hopefully dig into in a
Our
staff
research.
report. Yeah.
And then, should we go through this process and it comes out positive for you, are you going to operate with honesty, integrity, and in the public interest,
Absolutely.
following the laws and regulations and standards of cannabis?
Absolutely. You know, I want to bring this forward as, you know, an entrepreneurship idea. And one of the things I'd like to do is dispel the, you know, the criminal notion of this. I think that bringing these legal enterprises into the fold, it takes away from the illicit market, you know, where cannabis revenues are going funneled into organized crime and associated drugs and crimes, whether it be weapons and things like that. You know, by taking it and bringing it to the, you know, a legal element on that side, taxpayers are reaping the benefits, municipalities as well, and the province, and at the same time, we're taking a big chunk out of organized crime. So yes, I believe I will absolutely, you know, be the upstanding citizen and, you know, promote it in a way where it's healthy and equitable as well. And yeah.
Okay.
And to add to that, I'm not here to benefit from this. I think it's our residents that will benefit from this.
Okay, and just leeway for one quick more question. Are you aware that Health Canada approved cannabis through Shoppers Drug Mart stores recently?
Yes, I believe it was the medical
Yes.
portion of it.
Yes.
So, and the medical is a great, it's been a great way for consumers to get, you know, for medicinal purposes. Some people have the issues of, you know, kind of wait times and things like that. So from the people we've actually interfaced with that are on medical licensing and programs, they actually some prefer to go to the stores just because it's easier to, you know, make the transaction and just, you know, walk in, buy your product and walk out. So, yeah, the medicinal area has its benefits with, you know, direct to mail to consumers and things like that. But we've heard from people we've interfaced with in the community that they actually want the in-store option, just to walk in, similar to if you go to buy a bottle of alcohol or you know, a pack of cigarettes, just the ability to go do that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and I look forward to exploring this more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Councillor Adams?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Ms. Ballantyne, as an educator, I mean, I'm just curious, it's a controlled substance, just like alcohol and everything else. If Center Wellington were to pursue this option, is there recommendations you would make in terms of what the community could do or what the township could do to ensure that, and we saw the statistics there, right, versus like the black market versus the regulated market, but is there anything else that the township could do to research in terms of limiting that easy access out of the hands of youth, for example?
Well, youth already have easy access to illegal cannabis. So having a regulated and well supervised retail outlets the research is showing that actually it lessens youth getting their hands on it. But let's not pretend that youth don't have easy access. What we want to be able to have, and as the research showed in the slideshow, is that it's safer when it comes through a regulated channel. There are already laws in the books about where placement of stores has to be, and we can defer to the expert of staff and the research that they will do to be able to provide you with a suite of different options about how you'd like to approach that sort of bylaw.
And I'd just like to add too, so to what Dianne said about, having restrictions on where you can place these stores. So they have to be within 150 or more than 150 meters away from a school boundary. So that limits kind of where the placements and things will be in our township. And they also have the ability to suggest to the Alcohol Gaming Commission of Ontario sensitive areas. So, if should the council, commission the report and come up with recommendations of, we would like to not have it in this area for this reason and things like that, then that is something that they will consider. So there are options. And I'm not sure if anybody's been into a retail cannabis store in Guelph or Wellington North, but they are very much super regulated. You cannot bring children in there. When you have the doors wide open, you can't even see inside, and that's their policy, is they want to make it so you can't even see inside with the doors open. So they go through all these extra strict measures to ensure that it doesn't fall into the hands of youth, and that is one of the ways as well. So,
Any more questions from council? No? All right. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for your presentation this afternoon.
Thank you.
thank you.
Alrighty, moving with our delegations, I'd like to call up Matthew and Elizabeth from the Fergus Scottish Festival. Or just Matthew. Elizabeth's not playing? No? Aw, thanks. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. At least I hope it's been a good afternoon. I understand you've been here for a while. So it is great to see everyone here. Fresh faces, not so fresh faces. Not in a bad way at all. My name is Matt Bennett-Monty. I've had the pleasure to meet most of you, work with most of you. I am here on behalf of the Fergus Scottish Festival and Highland Games. I am the president, and we're happy to once again appear before council and share our background with those who may not be aware of us. Not that anyone present could not be aware of us. We're excited to share some updates. Most importantly, we're here to share some feel-good news regarding the festival since we were last here. So a little bit about us. Established in 1946, the mandate of the Fergus Scottish Festival was and continues to be to promote an event dedicated to the visual, musical, athletic, and written heritage of Scotland and those Scottish people who made Upper Canada their home. A positive celebration of culture and history through competition and education, the festival is thrilled to be celebrating its 78th year in 2023. We host a competitive environment for local and international heavy event athletes, Highland dancers, and pipe and drum bands, local and world-class musicians and guests, and engaging educational components of Scottish heritage round out the weekend. Our festival tagline has been Scotland without the airfare, and we have realized tremendous success with respect to an event production, from the 3-day festival weekend to virtual segments to smaller community-based events, including a kilt skate and tartan days. As the festival has grown through the years, so has our ability to attract tourists and grow our reach regionally, nationally, and internationally. We work closely with our local and regional tourism organizations, Business Improvement Area, and Chamber of Commerce in the enhancement and promotion of programming and tourism offerings. Another pillar of our mission is to be collaborative. The festival prides itself with working closely with community organizations in the successful delivery of not only the festival, but also being a leader in pursuing opportunities and projects that benefit their community events as well. The festival is composed of 300+ volunteers who work tirelessly to keep programming engaging and relevant while promoting our mandate, promoting our local community, and ensuring guests and visitors feel safe and enjoy every moment they spend with us. After many years of delivering engaging live events, then the transition to virtual world for 2 years, words cannot express how thrilled we were to be back in person with a successful event in 2022. As we head into 2023, we are ready to deliver our festival best yet again. The Sportsplex infrastructure project is a great story of collaboration for the benefit of many. Taking place over the last several years, the project involved the township, the fall fair, and numerous local businesses and partners in the repairing, the updating, and the addition to inadequate, unreliable, and unsafe utilities on the Sportsplex grounds. We pooled ideas, resources, contacts, and funding to complete electrical, water, and Wi-Fi upgrades for the mutual benefit of stakeholder user groups and for the community as a whole. After COVID forced the cancellation of the festival for 2 years, including our 75th anniversary celebrations, the festival hosted an incredibly successful event. We were able to secure Dianne Gabaldon, the famous author of the Outlander franchise, and Duncan Lacroix, an actor from the Outlander television series, as special guests. We featured the 4 pillars of the Fergus Festival and Highland Games: Highland dance, heavy events, clans and heritage, and pipes and drums. The competitions were nail biters, the food delicious, and the sound of bagpipes, a welcome reminder of what we do best. Attendance surpassed 26,000 people. We had no idea what to expect, and it was not without its challenges. Its many challenges. But we were back stronger than ever and are grateful for our exceptional working relationship with township staff and the many community groups and partners that make this event happen. There is a new climate in the post-pandemic event world, and with a year under our belts, we feel better prepared to navigate the changes that lie ahead. We have had an eventful 2023 thus far. We have enjoyed supporting community events such as the Strathcona Curling Cup. This is an international tournament that happens every 5 years and was hosted by the Elora and Fergus curling clubs. The Robbie Burns Supper, hosted by the Fergus Pipe Band. And we are looking forward to Kilt Skate at the Sportplex on February 26th and Tartan Day in April in downtown Fergus. This summer, the festival will be hosting its 78th event, August 11th to 13th. As of this morning, the festival is honored to announce that it has secured the World Heavy Events Championship. This event will draw athletes and spectators from around the globe. Another aspect of the festival will be acknowledging the 190th anniversary of Fergus. We have Sir Adam Ferguson of Scotland serving as our chieftain, and will be adopting the Ferguson tartan as the official tartan of the Fergus Scottish Festival and Highland Games. We will also host a 190th anniversary segment featuring a local historian, as well as local bands, performers, and more to come. The festival is now known worldwide, and our reputation speaks to the entire community of Centre Wellington. Many businesses, organizations, and community members boast that they are from the home of the festival. By the numbers, the festival has had a significant impact on Centre Wellington's economic prosperity. Welcoming 26,000 people through the gates, the estimated tourism economic impact is estimated at $3.5 million plus. As we recover from COVID, we expect this impact to increase. We understand that the township granting opportunities are currently being reconfigured, and we are looking forward to navigating this with the township's guidance. As we continue our quest to be a festival of choice regionally, nationally, and internationally, coupled with a desire to continue to contribute to our community, we will be seeking support and submitting applications as appropriate for capital and programming specific initiatives. We are especially interested in opportunities on site to safely secure newly acquired and reconditioned festival assets. This unfortunately comes as a result of a dramatic increase in losses on the Sportsplex grounds due to vandalism and mischief. The news and updates that we are sharing today fit council and township priorities, including pride of place, reliable infrastructure, and economic prosperity. We would like to also invite council to join us this August as our special guests and experience the festival firsthand. In closing, the festival would like to express our sincere appreciation for support received in the past and strongly encourage the township's ongoing support of the festival and events like ours that strive to provide the best and safest event experience possible, all while contributing positively to the community and continuing to put Centre Wellington on the map. Thanks very much.
And thank you. That's great information. Always a feel-good story. Questions from council? Councillor Craddock?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. You spoke of the challenges. Objectively, it seems like parking was probably one of the larger ones. Is there anything to combat that moving forward in the plan?
Thanks, Councillor. Essentially, all of the challenges that we faced this year all came down to a common denominator, and that was lack of human beings. We were so overwhelmed with our attendees. Unfortunately, we did experience a bit of a drop in volunteerism. We did the best we could with who we had available to us. So that's why we're calling it a success.
Councillor McDonald?
Through you, Deputy Mayor Jefferson. You mentioned vandalism and a few other things. Have you been able to correct those things? Did you have to use risk insurance for that? You know, was it a collaboration with the township to fix them?
So we're going to have that discussion shortly.
Oh, okay.
Yes, what we've been able to accomplish in the past 4 to 5 years is incredible. And I say that as I've come into this position and grown with the position, there's one thing that resonates, and it's always the relationship that we have with the township. And we haven't been able to curb the vandalism, unfortunately, but certainly when we get together and have these discussions, it'll no doubt come to a resolve.
And I completely understand with volunteers and staff, and it's so difficult to find people that just really want to volunteer. But thank you so much. It was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Mayor Waters?
Maybe I was one of those people who have the issues on parking because I was on the parking crew. So I apologize if there were any issues that way, but we tried our best. No, actually, my takeaway is you have a very dedicated group of people. I was totally impressed. As you know, I'm involved in other festivals, and just really impressed by your dedication in terms of the people, the volunteers, your staff, everyone working hard. It's such a great event. It was my first time in terms of volunteering at the festival, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd only planned to be there for a certain amount of hours, was there a lot longer, but it also gave me a good understanding of sort of all the issues and challenges that happen with your festival, and not only your festival, but other festivals, but it's such an important component to our community, and and really appreciate all the time and effort that your folks put forward to make it a world-class event, and I thank you for that.
And I thank you, Mayor Waters, and just to expand on that a little bit, it's incredible how far we've also come with local groups. Again, in the past couple of years, we've been able to really rally the troops, and it's actually quite exciting to hear of what the could be turnout for volunteerism will be in 2023.
Councillor Wilton?
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor Jefferson. Thanks for the presentation, that's great. And first of all, I just want to congratulate you and the team on securing the World Heavy Events Championship. That's pretty cool, so congrats on that. And just a question, if you could speak to opportunities to kind of bring some of the festival downtown to the downtown core of Fergus. If there's, I think in past years there's been shuttle buses and different buskers and other events downtown, but I'm just curious if that's kind of going to come back, or new ideas or new opportunities just to expand the footprint a little bit.
Lucky for council, Elizabeth is here to speak to that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth. I'm the Executive Director with the Scottish Festival. We are already speaking with the BIA about opportunities. So last year we had a very successful shuttle bus program. Every year we try and we tweak it a little bit, and last year I think was one of our best ones. We also offer our Thursday evening programming, so we have our parade and some music downtown and in the pubs. And then on Saturday we have a whole, Friday we have a whole downtown program before our gates open. This past month, I actually met with the BIA and we were talking about and brainstorming other opportunities as well. But one of our goals has always been to have folks downtown and expand that programming for the weekend. It's really tough from the festival perspective on Saturday and Sunday because there's a lot going on site, but the bus goes straight from the Sportsplex downtown. There is music downtown, so we're trying to be creative with our opportunities, but definitely Thursday evening and Friday, we've got lots going on. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Any further questions? Nope, seeing none. Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thanks very much for the opportunity.
Okay. Alrighty, and then from the delegation section, Sean? Thank you for coming.
Hi there, Sean Galbraith. I'm here on behalf of Bell Mobility to speak to the proposed new cell tower in Fergus. What is proposed is pretty simple. It's a 22-meter shrouded monopole that will help with service issues that this part of Fergus is receiving. Essentially, there's too many users for too little bandwidth in the town. And this site, as proposed, will help alleviate a lot of those concerns, at least sort of the north part of Fergus. Right now, the large sort of lattice tower on Athlon Street is the only Bell site that is servicing all of Fergus, and it's simply overloaded. The volume of primarily data that's being used on the wireless networks has truly exploded, certainly before COVID, but during COVID, with everybody working from home a lot more, the amount of data that the network is expected to try and handle has grown exponentially. And the only way to respond to that is to build more sites. And so Bell is proposing this site at the Esso gas station, acknowledging that its location is fairly visible. They're trying to keep it as short as they can, and it'll have no visible antennas. So it'll just look like a pole, an unadorned white pole. It's located between the, next to there's a Tim Hortons drive-through there. It's just in the concrete pad between the drive-through and the Esso station. So we think it'll be fairly visually unobtrusive, and most people won't even know what it is, just looks like a pole. Bell appreciates the opportunity, and if you have any questions about the site, I'm here to answer them, but otherwise, we hope to have your support for the site.
Thank you very much. Councillor McDonald?
I'm sorry, I'm not with Bell, but
My wife works
the other
for
one
Rogers.
isn't so great, so I don't know what to think. The only thing I ask with the height is, you know, we have emergency helicopters going to our hospital in this area. Like, they go over there, and so that meets all the requirements.
Correct.
Sorry if
So-
it's a silly question,
No,
but
not
I'm
as-
always thinking of
Absolutely.
airspace.
So there won't, 22 meters is quite short.
Yeah.
As far as cell towers go. If there's a problem with the helicopter, something really, really bad has happened. But if there's, if Transport Canada requires lighting for it, there would just be a standard.
A beacon.
At the top, but in my experience, this is far too short to,
Okay.
to require lighting.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Councillor Craddock?
Just curious, would it have a similar look and height as that Rogers Tower by the Home Hardware?
Yes, I believe so. Okay. Yeah. Though I think the Rogers one, I think is brown. I think they painted it a different color, if I recall.
I think it's white.
Oh, maybe it's white.
I don't know. But
Either
yeah,
way,
it doesn't matter.
it'll be similar to that.
Fair enough.
And so one of the things that we're required to look at is what's called co-location. So we looked at, Bell looked at, could they put their antennas on that Rogers site as an alternative prior to proposing a new tower site, and that one is simply too short. The antennas would be located too far down on the pole to either meet what's called Safety Code 6, the emissions standards, or to actually propagate the signal into the wider community. So we need a new site, basically.
Follow up?
Follow up to that, yeah, just with your safety code
Yeah.
6, what
Yep.
are these emissions? Is it just the radio?
Yeah, the radio
Frequencies.
frequencies, the electromagnetic frequencies.
Okay.
Yep. So cell phones and cell towers are regulated by Health Canada through a thing called Safety Code 6 that sets the maximum emission levels that can be received in the general area around it. There's a maximum exposure level. Typically, it's like a third of 1% of the maximum allowable levels. You get a lot more from your phone than you do from any tower. Yeah, no problem.
Any further questions? Seeing none, we would thank you for your presentation today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Alrighty, and then moving on for the consideration of reports, we will ask Brett to come forward to expand upon that presentation.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor Jefferson. Just since Sean has done a good job of describing the tower itself, I just want to say a few words about the approval process. So with telecommunication towers, they fall under the federal government agency that's known as Industry Canada. And since 2014, they've adopted a protocol for the approval of these telecommunication towers. And so in the absence of the municipality having its own protocol, then there's a default protocol, which is what happens here because we don't have our own protocol. So Industry Canada identifies through its protocol the people that need to be notified. The applicant does that notification. In this particular case, it happened in the fall before Christmas. There were no comments made. And then what is sought from the municipality is what is called concurrence. And so council does have the option, I've set out in my report, to either grant the concurrence, and if you do, then my recommendation is that you authorize me to prepare the concurrence letter. That's what we've done with other similar issues. Or you could deny the concurrence, which means you don't support the tower, but that doesn't mean that Industry Canada won't still approve it anyway. So because it's a federally regulated, I guess, business, the municipality doesn't have a yes or no, you have input. And so concurrence is what it's called if you say that you support the tower. So personally, through the consultation, there have been no comments made. The consultation, because it's a short tower, it's only very immediate properties, but and as noted, there's a similar tower just down the road. That one's a little bit taller than this one. I think it was 30 meters. This one's only 22. So, in my view, there really is no good reason to deny the concurrence, so.
Questions from council? Councillor Adams?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Just a question about public notification. I noted that like adjacent property owners were sent letters. Was that by the township or that was
No, that's done by the proponent. We
okay.
provide them with the addresses and the proponent does all the notification.
Okay.
And they respond to all the questions that they receive. We're sort of, we're on the notice that we could be contacted by people if there's, well, even if there was a question, we wouldn't do a very good job of answering it, right? Because it's not our facility, but the township are included in the consultation.
Okay. Just curious because I recall when the Rogers Tower got put up, following some of those community groups, there was lots of comments and questions from the public inquiring what the big tower was, and some of the theories were a little out there, but yeah, so I was just curious about the awareness to the community about what's going on.
Depending on the size of the tower, some towers do require a newspaper notice, but this one being a smaller tower didn't trigger that.
Any further questions? Okay. So seeing that there's no objections, then we can go forward with option 1 recommendation. Okay. So our recommendation is that the Council of the Township of Center Wellington provides municipal concurrence for a proposed 22-meter monopole telecommunication tower by Bell Mobility at 810 St. David Street North, Fergus, and that the Managing Director of Planning and Development be authorized to prepare the necessary concurrence letter. Can I have somebody move that? Councillor Craddock, and a seconder, Councillor Wilton. And then we can vote, all in favor. And that's everybody, so that's carried. So we're moving along the agenda back down to item 9. And that is for a closed session. So there's the recommendation that the Council of the Township of Center Wellington convene in closed session in accordance with Section 239 2I of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended concerning a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board which is disclosed could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group, or group of persons or organization. Can I have somebody make a motion for that? Councillor Adams, seconder. Councillor Wilton. And then we'll put that to a vote. All in favor? Okay, so council is going to move into closed session and we're going to go down to the Veterans Hall. Alrighty, so agenda item 11, matters arising from the closed session. Council met in closed session and direction was given to staff. And then we are going to call for a motion for adjournment. Councillor McDonald. And the seconder, Councillor Wilton. All in favor? And then that's everybody that carries. Thank you very much.